Hi, Amber.
Hi, Megan.
Welcome to Bad Movies Rock.
Why, thank you, Megan. Megan, welcome to Bad Movies Rock. Place where you can be sure the movie will not be critically well rewarded with scores of highness and praise, except sometimes, they will be. But for the most part, no, they won't
feel
be.
Like it. Yeah.
No. We watch the bad movies, according to Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes, and we say, hey, did the critics get this right? Maybe, but probably not for the reasons that they think they did. And we go ahead and say why that is.
Yeah, that sums up our podcast really succinctly, Amber.
No, it doesn't. That was pure nonsense.
Succinct.
Megan, at some point, I'm going to get this right. Mm-hmm. At some point, I'm just going to say something so clear and coherent that we'll cut it and we'll use it again.
It'll be the
again,
same thing every time.
Again.
Yeah,
It'll be the perfect soundbite.
Our standard opening. Yeah.
I am Amber and you are Megan, and we watch movies and we talk about them, and also we get mad at critics sometimes. It's a fucking podcast, people, okay? You're listening to a podcast. It's clearly about movies. It's clearly about bad ones. And based on the kind of seemingly positive sense of they rock, we probably enjoy them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we sum it up very succinctly in the podcast title that I dreamed of.
So basically, I'm just wasting my time right now, then. Mm-hmm. It's already just out there, obvious
it's just
to everyone.
Out there. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I wasted my time. I wasted our listeners' time.
Yeah, and we're certainly not going to cut this, so...
No. I mean, in a sense, you wasted their time.
Did I?
Yes.
How is this my fault?
By making the title so self-explanatory.
Oh, I see. Listen, Amber, when things come to you in dreams, you've got to pay attention to them.
Oh, shit.
Oh, no. Wait a second. I take it back. Oh, no, Amber, no.
I have a lot to do.
Yeah. I don't like your eyes right now, Amber.
Don't worry about it,
so
Megan.
much of the whites of them. It's very upsetting.
Don't worry about it, Megan. The only thing you need to worry your pretty little head about is the movie we watched this evening.
We watched Conan the Barbarian, the 2011 version.
Thank you for actually doing that when it's useful.
You're welcome. Mm-hmm.
This is, of course, something of a remake of the original Conan, the Barbarian. I always want to say the adventurer. I'll explain that later. Conan the Barbarian, originally starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. I am sure I have seen it. It is from the 1982. Mm-hmm. I have not seen it for some time. Obviously, comparisons are made between this and that.
Yes. It was definitely a movie that my dad introduced me and my brother to way back in the day. Probably when we were 3 or 4.
Way too young. Way too young.
It had to be.
I was not alive when that movie came out. I saw it eventually. It's quite violent. I do remember that. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is very oily.
Yes. We watched a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies when we were kids.
How do you feel that affected you developmentally?
I mean, it probably led to me where I am today, recording Bad Movies Rock with you.
That makes a lot of sense. We should talk about Twins at some point. Why?
Twins, Commando.
Did you watch Twins way too much?
Oh, too much. Yeah, all the time.
Like way too much.
Yeah, way too much.
I watched it again sometime in adulthood and thought, why? There are so many movies I watch again and I see, I understand why I like this, or I still like them. But when I watched Twins again, I couldn't understand what little Amber Brain was thinking. Why?
Was it just on all the time? Is that why?
I mean, that might have been part of it. It's sort of the Ferris Bueller of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, maybe, or the Christmas Story of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
Yeah.
Maybe, it was just widely syndicated.
Yeah.
But I feel like I also sought it out. Maybe it's because it was sort of like a grown-up movie that I was allowed to watch as a kid that was still kind of geared towards me.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll talk about it. Megan.
Yes, Amber.
This is an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. It's
a Jason Momoa movie, Amber.
This is his big first breakout starring movie role.
It is.
Hot on the heels of Baywatch and Stargate Atlantis.
Yep, the hit makers that they were, yes.
Very impressive that he went from there to here. Also, same time as Game of Thrones came out, and his role is Khal Drogo.
Yes, although apparently this movie got held up a bit, so it was filmed before that, obviously, and then he Drogo'd it out.
That's fascinating.
Isn't it, though?
Megan, are you prepared?
Uh-huh.
For a particularly lackluster version of Which is Which is Which is Which?
Lackluster is my favorite version of everything, Amber. Let's do it.
Prepare not to be wowed. Prepare to think, should we even still be doing this? Maybe we should just cut this part.
Okay.
I will read you summaries from IMDb, Metacritic, Amazon, and Amber. Not necessarily in that order. And you, madam, will decide which is which is which is which.
Okay.
We shall begin. Now is the time of beginning.
Great. I'm ready.
It is time to start.
Okay, yes. Let me stop interrupting you.
Megan, I am starting.
Let's do this thing, Amber.
The sword-wielding Conan the Barbarian out for revenge against the evil Kalar Singh, who have enslaved and slaughtered... That's not his name.
I don't think that's... It's Zim.
It's Zim.
ZYM. Yeah.
ZYM. In this, apparently, it's Kalar Singh.
Okay.
I will start again. Sorry, that caught me up a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Now we shall begin again.
Let's do it.
This is the new beginning.
Okay. I'm ready.
Let's re-begin.
For it.
The sword-wielding Conan the Barbarian out for revenge against the evil Kalar Singh, who enslaved and slaughtered the people of his village. Since birth, Conan's life has been marked by violence. And after watching his fellow tribesmen and his father brutally and cruelly killed, Conan vows to avenge his people's slaughter, even if it means sacrificing his own life in the process.
Okay.
That one wasn't very good.
No, it was not.
Just a sort of repetitive.
Yeah, that was like the first bit of the movie that it got to.
Yeah. A vengeful barbarian warrior sets off to get his revenge on the evil warlord who attacked his village and murdered his father when he was a boy. He's a vengeful barbarian warrior who sets off on revenge.
Was that's it? That's the whole thing?
Oh yeah, no, we're done.
Okay, great.
The tale of Conan the Cimmerian and his adventures across the continent of Hyboria on a quest to avenge the murder of his father and the slaughter of his village.
Okay.
Keeping it simple with this one. It's not a deep thinky one, and if you try and get into the plot of it, you realize, oh, this is pointless and also kind of nonsensical.
Yep.
The last one, the most mysterious of them all.
Yes.
Revenge, blah, 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 necromancy, blah, 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 sword murder, blah, blah, blah. Life is short, violent, brutal, and nothing but chaos and ruin. So fuck the hot barbarian when you have a chance.
Oh, okay.
I guess that was less of a summary and more of just a life lesson.
It's more of a, kind of a fortune.
No, it's a life lesson I learned from this movie. Sorry, someone learned from this movie.
Excellent.
Megan!
Okay. Yes, Amber.
Which is which?
Metacritic, Amazon, IMDb, Amber.
Ooh, right on the first one. It was a rightness sandwich with wrongness in the middle.
IMDb, Amazon.
It was hard to tell. I am impressed you got the Metacritic one. That was very good. Yeah. It was. They were so blah,
they were kind
vanilla.
of lackluster.
They were lackluster. Yeah.
Wasn't the middle one, I guess now the IMDb one, the one that said he was a vengeful guy?
Yeah, and I knew that would make you think it was Prime, so it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair at all because he was a vengeful person on revenge. That's totally something Amazon would do.
Seemed very Amazon-y.
That wasn't on you. As far as I'm concerned, you got it 100% right.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that sums up the movie very nicely.
Yeah, we kid does things, and he's very good at murder. And then he's a very good murder kid. His village gets murdered, but not him because the warlord gets puckish when he decides to try and kill him and his father. And that's their stay goal oriented. That's the other life lesson I learned from this movie.
Yeah, it's a real Bond villain mistake. That is
such a Bond villain mistake. You stay and you watch that boy die, especially if you're so interested in torturing him in the first place.
Yeah. Yep.
You're not going to actually get to see the heart-wrenching choices they make as they die together, father and son. Come on, evil guy. You just liked the idea and walked away from it? The fuck? What?
I mean, he preemptively set the whole place on fire, so...
I guess he couldn't stick around. Yeah, no, that's... Okay, his defense, well done, Megan. Still.
Thank you.
Did not stay as goal-oriented as he should have. Conan, on the other hand, learned from his mistake and really finished it. Just beginning to end, soup to nuts. Did what he set out to do.
Yeah, he does not He always double taps Amber.
Oh,
To put it in the common parlance.
Indeed he
of
does.
Our show.
Indeed he does.
Yeah.
But I think you'll find missing from all of these summaries the most important character in this movie and the only reason it's worth watching. And we
absolutely
will get to this person. Megan first, though. Let's take a trip down this critical side street that we insist on going.
Yes.
Down. On. Walking.
Okay. Oh, boy.
I don't know. I tried to make it a sentence at the end there.
Yes, I was just going to interrupt you and leave it as is. But, well,
I'm not doing so well with the words today.
Yeah, no, that's all right. We all have our off nights.
Good thing I'm recording a thing.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna be quiet now. Megan, please talk for me.
Okay.
Wait, Megan.
Oh boy.
Megan,
yes,
I need you to talk more.
Oh dear. Okay.
Megan.
Yes, Amber.
Please cover up for my deficiencies.
Okay, I will get to that as soon as you stop interrupting me. Okay.
I'm done.
Are you?
I don't know.
You just can't help yourself.
Sorry.
The tomato meter has it at 25% for the critics and 30% for the audience.
Metacritic has it at 36% for the critics, 51% for the audience.
Okay. I feel like that's more, 50%. It's probably a little high, but still.
For the audience? Yeah.
Yeah, but right in that range.
General blurby consensus and takeaways. Some people dinged Momoa's performance.
Really?
Yes, actually quite a few people specifically dinged his performance. Someone mentioned that his nostrils do most of his acting for him.
Sure. Yep.
Other people said that, looks-wise, he totally fits the bill. But on attitude, he just doesn't cover it. Lots of comparisons to Arnold. Lots of comparisons to the original movie. It always falls short of the original movie. It's not as good.
I think people are a little bit looking at the original movie in with rose-colored glasses because I have not seen it in a while, but I am sure that it wasn't good.
They're sipping the sweet nostalgia hooch. Yeah, it was not good. I don't think it was actually reviewed well either, but I guess if you're going to make a remake of a bad movie, do better or just as well, and they don't feel that that's what happened.
Yep.
A lot of violence dings. The effects they did not like. Too much CGI, too much overworking it. I guess this was released in 3D, so it kind of does the whole things coming at you from the screen thing, and they hated that too. Right. They did not care for the story. There were a couple of mentions of the fact that Morgan Freeman does a little voiceover work in this.
Yep, just a little bit.
Just a little bit for no good reason. And it doesn't make sense. Like, he's trying to explain a story that's just nonsense and not fleshed out.
Yeah, he comes in to, fill in these huge gaps of story that, you don't really need. You don't need to make it more complicated than it is.
Indeed. So it was sort of, it's gaudily made up to look real pretty with all of these effects. You can barely see the real movie underneath. Some people didn't like the action scenes, and they just kind of ran together. The dialogue wasn't good. They didn't like Momoa.
Man.
I mean, no. Momoa was great.
Momoa was fantastic.
Momoa was great. It was a tough role, very little dialogue. It was essentially all swagger and action scenes, and motherfucker delivered.
Yeah.
Just because he wasn't like a stone-faced, dour, tough guy. Like, Arnold had one way of doing it. Momoa had another way of doing it. He's billed as a fucking pirate. A pirate has to enjoy himself, right?
Yeah.
He's gotta be, fucking little grins and twinkle in the eye and having some fun while he also glowers and grunts and growls his way through his barbarian fancy footwork. And he did that.
And he did, yeah. Yep. He trained apparently very hard for the choreography for this. He's great.
Yeah, I thought the choreography was fun. He brought a great physicality to the role. It was, a little bit more barroom brawl and a lot less brute force.
Yes, yep.
But solid sword fighting, spinning, jumping, diving, it was feral martial arts with swordplay, and that was great. And less just kind of brute strength, I'm bigger than you, I'm going to throw you through something half the time. It was more interesting. Yeah.
Alan Adams sums it up pretty well for me. What I got was an ultra-violent and bloody fantasy epic with an overwrought and underdeveloped backstory, clumsy performances, and gratuitous special effects. In other words, perfect.
Yeah, that's what it is. The ones who liked it were like, it was honestly entertaining. You know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
It's silly.
Yes.
The ones who liked it less didn't like the effects and lack of story and or didn't like it compared to the remake. Or to the not to the original. Holy monkeys, wow. I cannot talk.
Okay, yes. Mm-hmm.
What is wrong with me?
Yeah. Usually the late night records are the kryptonite for me, Amber, not for you.
What's happening?
Oh, no. You know what none of at least the critical reviews that I saw mentioned?
Oh, yeah. I do know what none of them mentioned because none of the little blurbs I read mentioned it either.
None of the reviews mention Tamara, who's played by Rachel Nichols, and who is just a fucking delight and a reason to watch this movie and makes it a bit different than your normal, like, just swords and punch 'em ups.
Megan, there are the traditional scantily clad topless women in this movie. They exist.
Of course there are.
There's window dressing, literally hanging out behind the men as they actually arm wrestle and then carry them off for sex, which they're willing to have.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah. They exist. It's a thing. But the thing that most of these movies don't have is a Tamara.
Yes.
And I didn't see a single one of these blurbs mention this beautiful, beautiful unicorn who does beautiful, beautiful things in this beautiful, beautiful movie. She's not mentioned in any of the summaries. I didn't mention her in mine because I didn't want to make it too obvious.
Yes.
And
you're right.
Nothing else in mine.
There's no way that I would know.
I really didn't phone it in at all for this one.
Here's something I will say, Amber. I did find a review by Daniel Snyder at The Atlantic, and it's called Conan the Barbarian's Female Issues. And it goes on to talk about the remake keeps the damsel in distress trope and the rest of the fantasy. I know genre has outgrown.
What?
A fantasy genre has not outgrown this.
No.
Talks about how she spends a good chunk of the movie tied up or tied to things.
What?
Yeah, and like it goes on to talk about it in this like weird, and I can't tell, like part of me thinks like, am I so starved for a woman to have a little bit of agency that I'm like, this is great. She's got some agency.
Maybe.
But, and he does, Conan does start off on a bad foot where he essentially claims Tamara as his own property. But they get over that pretty quickly. Like, she very quickly becomes his, like, we'll get into it, but, like, she holds her own for a bunch of it. And
oh,
then
my gosh, yes.
Yeah, and even after, like, they're together, he keeps her tied up for, like, one night. Just one night, I mean, come on. And then she, like, goes into league with him to kind of get the bad guys. So... And there's the whole ending bit where, sure, she is kind of tied up to something and they fight over her. But, you know...
Yeah, but then she's a pretty active agent in the denouement of one of the main baddies. I disagree so wholeheartedly.
I disagree.
One,
I do.
Like you said, the fantasy genre has super not outgrown that bullshit. It is still very much alive and well and very much a problem, which may in fact explain why we are so starved that perhaps we're overblowing how wonderful her character is. 2, she is not a damsel in fucking distress. I have seen damsels in distress. I have lamented damsels in distress. This girl is not a girl. She's a fucking woman, and she's got a fucking knife. And she knows how to fucking use it.
It's Ether C rules, Amber.
Ether C rules.
Everybody's got a knife.
She is not a damsel if she's armed and gutting people, okay?
Yep.
Oh.
And threatens Conan with it the first thing because he tears into her carriage. So of course she would.
Hold on.
We got
I
got excited.
We got to lovingly go over the saga of Tamara because she's the best part of this movie.
Yes.
So, but this is to say the critics once again got it wrong. It's not a good movie, no. And it does have the same flaws that they mention, but Momoa is great. Mm-hmm. And why aren't we mentioning the beauty of Rachel Nichols to Mara.
And okay. I'm sorry to pick on this Atlantic article, but it is written by at least a person with a dude-like name, and I do wonder if they are missing, like, they don't mention any of the cool things she does. You know, Daniel mentions, like, you know, the Conan calling her property. He mentions, you know, so him calling her a harlot at one point. It was like, yeah, okay, but like, you're still talking about what Conan's doing. You are not talking at all about what she's doing. And like, I feel like even in writing this, you are skipping over the agency that this woman has in this movie.
He is most likely...
He's not seeing it.
Yes. This, I mean, Daniel, whatever their gender may be, is seeing this female character through a male lens. The lens of Conan's interactions with her. It is... Yes. That's amazing. And...
Yeah.
Nitpicky, I know. Conan doesn't call her a harlot. He says she's dressed like a harlot.
It's true. It's true.
No, Daniel.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, which, anyway, so I found this kind of... the one thing I found that mentions her actually says that she's a damsel in distress, which I think she is less of in this movie than a lot of movies.
Many movies.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's get into it. Critics,
okay.
wrong
Yes.
again.
Wrong again.
Let's do
for
your
the wrong
job for you
reasons.
again.
Yeah. Yes. Entertainment justice.
Let's just fucking start with it. Tamara
Okay,
is
yes.
amazing.
Yes, she's amazing. Yeah, she's great. She plays, you know, she's the MacGuber, you know, she's of the pure blood that needs to be captured by Zim to be taken to, like, do this fucking ritual, whatever.
Okay.
Whatever the fuck.
Okay, maybe I'm gonna make a tiny amount of effort to try and explain
Amber.
what is happening. Just so that we have character names.
Okay, fine.
We have Conan. He is the Barbarian.
He's Battleborn, Ember.
It is a pretty solid opening scene. I guess, okay, we'll also talk about Conan's
why not?
mom. There are two
Yes.
baller women in this. The first one dies in the opening scene, but she's badass.
Yes, she is.
It's Morgan Freeman's voice talking about the mythology of this place. And the background story is...
So much. It's...
some dude or people called Acheron, I didn't bother to pay attention to which, took some bones from a bunch of different kings, made a mask with it, and then took the blood of their daughters and just put it on it, and that apparently gave it necromancy powers. Now, this wasn't great for the world at large. He didn't do it for good reasons. So a bunch of barbarians rose up and smashed him and his mask.
Yes.
And then they took the pieces of the mask and they went all over the place so that it would never be reassembled again.
Until ages later, it is.
It definitely is. And the dude who's putting that all back together is Zim. He's got a daughter, played by Rose McGowan.
Marique. She is...
a lot.
She is a lot. And she's a witch.
She's a witch.
She's a lot.
She's a witch like her mother was a witch. Now Zim wants to resurrect his dear, lovely wife. She was completely innocent. And she was hunted down like an animal and burned as a witch.
Yep, she very much was not eating the hearts of innocence.
Well, that's something we made up. We do know that she was apparently attempting to enslave society, but she was an innocent woman and she was hunted down like an animal, is how he tells the story.
Yes, it is.
So Zim is running around conquering a bunch of people, putting the mask back together, and making himself a king on his way to becoming a god once he has the mask.
Right.
The last piece is in Conan's village. He razes the village to the ground, kills Conan's father, leaves the boy for dead.
Yes.
So Conan's life as an adult is dedicated towards hunting down all of the people involved. There are a bunch of different generals from the different tribes that Zim had already conquered, as well as Zim himself. Zim, meanwhile, the mask is only half of what he needs, because if you remember from Morgan Freeman's explanation, it was the bones of kings, which he's got, and the blood of their daughters.
Yep.
Now, Megan.
He needs to find a pure bloodline.
Indeed. And in these ancient times, This even more ancient bloodline has only left one daughter behind, and she is hidden behind in a monastery, safely tucked away from the evil blood-mongering of Zim.
Yes.
So, Zim is after Tamara. She's in a monastery. Conan is after Zim. It sends them on a beautiful headlong course to encounter each other and have wonderful adventures together. So, as we're learning about all this beautiful history, we see a baby in the uterus from the inside.
That's how it opens, yes.
Morgan Freeman's voice telling us about this necromantic history. And we just see, baby peacefully floating in the uterine space. And oh shit, that's a sword. Oh, fuck.
Sword.
There's a sword in the baby. What's happening? And then we come out and we see a pregnant woman just gutting a dude who just stabbed her in the tum-tum.
Yep.
And then Ron Perlman comes over and he's like, oh shit, you're dying. And she's like, I want to see my child before I die. So it's time for a Bronze Age C-section.
Yep. Layla Rusas plays Conan's mother. And yeah, she gets a battle C-section, which Ron Perlman does while looking into her eyes and is apparently a very good surgeon. Pulls young baby Conan out and asks her to name her son.
He does a no-look C-section.
He does. He does a no-scope C-section, Amber. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, yeah. Yep, and she names her son Conan and promptly dies.
Yes.
Just respect. She's in battle, pregnant.
She's awesome.
Gets gut, and she's like, okay, I know I'm dying, but take it out. I want to see it.
Save this baby.
I want to hold my kid before I die. All right. I will respect your wishes. So, yeah.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
He was born of battle. They say that at least 2 or 3 times.
Yes, many times.
He's a tough nut. Tamara, on the other hand, we see a lot of this world before we get to Tamara, and it's very dirty. It's very brutal.
Yeah,
very harsh.
Yeah, like literally dirty.
Very
like their
filthy.
faces.
Yeah, they're all dirty
and clothes. Yeah, except when we get to the monastery.
It's beautiful. It's idyllic. It's peaceful. Everybody's clean. She's wearing white.
Yeah, who wears white in ancient times?
And it's still white.
Yeah, I don't wear white. I can't handle it.
No, I can't be trusted with white.
Yeah.
And you think, wow, here's the ultimate damsel in distress. We already know that she's the MacGuffin. He needs her sweet, sweet blood. Zim's sorceress daughter is leading him to her because she can smell her blood.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So when Zim's army comes and attacks the monastery, a bunch of, the monks jump into action to whisk Tamara away in a carriage. She's damseling. She doesn't want to go. She wants to stay and help, but she'll go. She'll to protect. She trusts the priest who's telling her to cheese out. She cheeses out, runs away from the battle. Some of the bad Zim boys chase after them. Conan also sees this carriage as he's lying in wait for Zim.
Yes.
He chases after it, jumps on top of it, punches it open, as Megan mentioned. Inside, we see our damsel dressed in white. She looks shocked as she looks up at the roof as this brutish, manly man has punched his way through the top of her carriage. He yells, "Huh, where's Zim?" Because of course he thought Zim would be in the carriage. She pulls out a fucking knife and punches him in the face.
Yes.
And then says, "Who's Zim?"
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Punches him right in his old snoot. It's true.
It's just lovely. Zim's men now catch up to the carriage. Conan goes into battle mode, starts taking them out, where they're taking out the monks who are trying to whisk her away. And you think, okay, well, she punched him, but she's out of her depth at this point. Like, it's a horse battle.
Yeah, she's going to hide in the carriage.
She's going to hide in the carriage. She's in a white dress. She does not
hide
in the carriage. She opens the door, murders a man on a horse who tries to grab her, jumps on top of the carriage, murders another man, jumps into the driver's seat, kicks the corpse that's in it out of it, takes control of the carriage. Another man jumps onto the carriage. She detaches the carriage. It goes flying. She's killed another man. She then starts to unhook the horses. Takes one of the halters, wraps it around a guy's neck, frees the rest of the horse. He rides off with that guy. That guy's dead. She then leaps onto the back of another horse, releases it, and then rides off on that fucking horse. Holy shit.
Like a fucking boss, man.
That's not a damsel.
No, she is not.
She killed like 4 dudes.
Yep. It's fantastic. And she pulls a knife on Momoa right away.
It's wonderful. Now, of course, Momoa, he's barbarian it up. He's like, okay, this is my property. I know Zim wants her, so she's mine now. She's like, yep. I have to go back to this place that the priest told me to go to, and I'm going to do what he said, so you can't keep me here. So he ties her up.
Yeah.
She is disgruntled, but does not freak out. She's annoyed.
Yeah, she's frustrated at it. But like
annoyed.
Yeah, but not like screamy or beggy or like, yeah.
Nope. There's even a moment, one of the lieutenants survives the carriage fight, chases them down, and then Momoa winds up capturing him after scaring the shit out of him, ties him up, and Momoa wants to know, Conan wants to know why Tamara is special. And Tamara's like, I don't friggin' know. And the lieutenant is like, liar! You know because you're special. She's like, wait. Don't kill him yet. What's he saying?
Yet, you said, Amber?
Yeah, yet. Don't kill him yet. Because I've actually never heard any of this. Pure blood? Daughter of kings? Interesting. Okay, you can kill him now.
Yep. It's great.
Just fucking walks away.
Yep. Yes. It's great.
She's great. Like, does she scream sometimes? Yeah, when she's getting dropped out of stuff, but it doesn't stop her from doing things. Sometimes when you drop, you scream a little.
Yeah, it's not your fault.
It's an involuntary sound. Like, when I get mad, sometimes I cry. Shit just happens to our bodies, okay?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and she takes all of this, like, and like we said, she kicks ass. She holds her own. She, she's not like that bratty talk back to Conan, but she's like I'm not yours. What are you doing? I need to go over here. Like,
yep.
Yeah,
Don't you tell me what to do? And then she gets slung over his shoulder and ineffectually flails at his beautiful muscly back while ogling his perfect behind. It's just, I have to go to this place. Why are you being a dick?
Yep.
Oh, exactly. This is annoying.
Guess you can kill that guy. I'm done listening to him.
He has no more information for me.
Exactly.
Conan, still very hell-bent on getting to Zim, decides, okay, he wants Tamara, so I'll set up a trap. I'll tell him to come alone. We'll fight. It'll be great. I'll have Tamara looking like she's tied to some pillars. She ain't tied to no pillars. She still has that knife.
She's got a knife, man.
So she's gonna be fine. It's another battle scene where he's fighting sand warriors. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. They're like zombie rules where they're like fast and there are a lot of them, but like they essentially need like one punch and then they kind of, disappear into sand again. They get crumbled.
They were sent by the daughter sorceress.
Yeah, Marique can make sand monsters.
Of course she can.
Because Zim didn't come alone. He brought his daughter.
Yeah, rude.
So rude.
Oh, and how did he know, Amber? How did he know where he should go and he should come alone?
Oh, excellent question, Megan. Well, the lieutenant that had been captured and had all the information was able to deliver the message for him.
Oh, that's so nice of him that he just ride up and...
Sort of.
He just like went up to them, found them where they were.
Yeah, I mean, in a manner of speaking, he had a piece of cloth with some words shoved in his mouth, and then he was sent via catapult crashing into Zim's land ship. Zim has a land ship that's...
carried around by elephants?
Yes.
Is it?
Yep, that is exactly...
Sure. Yeah. The land ship makes so little sense to me. I mean, I kind of got it that it was like their little home, but it really does have like masts and stuff, and so like... It's very impractical if you're going through the woods. Like, I feel like that would get caught up in shit.
Don't you? And what if you had to go through any kind of tunnel? It makes no sense to me. Yeah.
It's the one thing, this movie.
If there's any one thing about this movie, it is the impracticality of that elephant-driven land ship.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but Amber, we got to another ship, Amber.
Yes.
An ocean ship, a water ship, one might even call it.
Conan is a pirate. He has a pirate crew. They do fun things like freeing slaves and having brawls. And his second, Artus, Nunzo and Nosy, this is great number 2.
Yeah,
He's happy. He's supportive. He takes care of the ship when Conan's not on it. And, they're pirates together.
Yeah, pirates and friends.
Pirates and friends. And Tamara winds up on the ship. They're going to keep her safe while Conan goes off to kill Zim. But first, they have to fight off an incursion of the rest of Zim's lieutenants.
Yes.
Who try to steal Tamara. And you think in most movies this would be the scene where they get her and then Conan has to go after her and save her. And in this movie, it's just a freaking murder brawl.
Yeah, it's a delightful murder brawl.
It is, yeah.
She kills probably as many as Conan does because he first she steals a weapon from one of the people who jump on the ship, and then she is handed his sword, which she can barely lift, but still manages to kill a couple people with. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, and they're working together half the time.
Mm-hmm.
When the incursion first happens, one of the big lieutenants winds up in the belly of the ship where the two of them still are. She gets his sword. She winds up helping Conan by cutting things down and situationally dropping them on the dude's head. And then she swings at the guy's head, misses, but then Conan uses the sword stuck in the wood to decapitate him. It's they're 1-2 punching these guys.
Yeah,
and
it's fairly clever.
when they get up on the deck, he throws her his sword and it looks like it's going to be too heavy, but then she's just gutting people. And then she kills the last guy by shoving him through the steering wheel and breaking him inside of it.
Yes.
It's great.
It's pretty great, yeah.
And when she first got to the ship and kind of came out in different, slightly less bloody clothes, that's when he makes the comment, "You look like a harlot." Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Well, I guess probably because those are the only kind of women you know from what I hear." And then Conan's like, "Sumerian women wear fucking armor and they go into battle."
Right.
And
then
then
he explains that's, yeah.
He's like, there's 2 types of women. Get her the leather. And he wants her to be in armor because he's basically saying, you don't look like what you are. I know you're a warrior, so you should be dressed like a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
It's silly for you to be in the clothes of a person who's a sex worker. Nothing against sex workers. I do enjoy them. But that's not what you are. Dress like what you are. Mm-hmm. Is kind of how it reads to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
And less about an objectifying of her.
Yeah. And you pointed this out already, but even the slight difference in words of you are a harlot versus you're dressed like a harlot. Mm-hmm. I think there's actually a pretty big difference between those two statements.
Indeed. And even the use of the word harlot specifically.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get away with saying sex worker in a Barbarian movie.
Yeah.
But you could just as easily use the word whore or prostitute. But instead you went with harlot. Which is better than those other 2 words.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's not great, but it gets the point across without delving into more objectifying or degrading territory. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm probably giving it too much credit because I love this character so much.
Yeah, but again, it's rare that we get any character like this, so...
It's so true.
Let's enjoy it.
Let's do, Megan. Eventually she does get kidnapped, but why does she get kidnapped, Megan?
Well, Amber, Conan gets off the boat to go find Zim. Artis is going to watch over Tamara, but he says, hey, what would you know? But our main man, Conan, he forgot his map of the shoreline. If you want, you can go bring it to him.
And just, in case this is helpful to know, the ship leaves at dawn tomorrow, so...
Yeah, so you have, tonight or whatever.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Mm-hmm.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. So she goes to find Conan, and they go find a sex hut that is pretty nearby.
First, she wants to discuss a little philosophy.
Sure, how does that go?
She wants to get the lay of the land. She wants to see, is this... the action I'm looking for, Megan. Mm-hmm. As she delivers this map to Conan, this potentially clandestine and sexy meetup. She asks, "Do you ever think our actions serve a purpose, some plan by the gods? Or are we just doomed to chaos and ruin?" And what does our barbarian respond, Megan?
Oh, I think it's something like, I don't have it in front of me, but like, I live, I laugh, I love.
God.
It's just like
Eat,
those
pray,
things.
love, Megan?
Yeah, he eats, he prays. No, he doesn't pray, Amber. He very specifically doesn't.
No.
He
says, "I know not."
Okay.
He says, "I know not and I care not. I live, I love, I slay, and I am content."
I live, I love, I slay. Eat, pray, love.
And he is content.
Live, laugh, love.
So she comes wandering out to her barbarian, and she's like, "Hey, do you think deep thoughts?" "Nah, baby."
Mm-mm.
And then she kisses him.
Yep.
"Nah, baby. Oh, thank goodness. I just want sex. Awesome. Let's go find a sex yurt."
That's great. Yep.
Gratuitous sex scene. Gratuitous sex scene.
Yeah.
But it's...
Yeah.
I kind of am... I'm not mad at it, because it's clearly... Artis is like, "You want to hook up with him? He's pretty good." She's like, "Yeah, I think I do. I just want to make sure that he doesn't think this is anything more than it is." Mm-hmm. He doesn't.
No.
And so she's happy.
Let's do this. Yeah.
"I just want fun sex where you're not going to get attached and think it's something deeper." "Me too." "Thank goodness.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. We are both beautiful people. I think we'll be good at this."
Yep.
And by beautiful people, I mean, awesome warriors who kill folks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we get some Conan butt, as well as Tamara boob.
There's indeed butt and boob in equal measures.
Yep.
But the tryst does cost her, because on her walk back to the ship, which is apparently pretty long.
Yeah, I don't know how they got so far away, and what made it a good idea for her to just walk back to the ship by herself.
It was also well past dawn.
It was light out. I don't know what she was thinking.
I guess we can't assume a sex yurt is just going to be right there on the coast.
You gotta find one, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, but Marique has smelled her out.
Oh, jeez.
Which is a very far away. Like, how does she even? I mean, like, there's miles and miles of coastline. How did she? Anyway,
she's just that good, Megan.
Yeah, she's just that good.
And then she does have to be rescued, but she does some work anyway.
She does have to be rescued, but then after she's untied, because the Zim is going to do all this stuff, and not only, like we said, he's already put the mask back together. Now he's going to sacrifice Tamara, but he also wants to bring back his dead wife, maybe in her body. It's whatever, but after she's unshackled from where he's holding her, she actually does a fair amount of work, and has a fight with Marique that is lovely.
It is.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. She's got her thing.
Yep.
So some fun things about this movie. Conan has a bunch of scars on his off sword arm. He does most of his sword work with his right arm, and he has these like slash marks on his upper shoulder. Mm-hmm. And you think, oh, maybe he was like clawed at by a monster. Sometimes he's got ring mail on that one arm and nowhere else because he's shirtless the rest of the time because he's a freaking barbarian.
Well, of course he is. But the ring mail just on his left side is really interesting.
Yeah.
And we realized why.
Yeah, those scars in that mail is because he uses that arm to catch swords.
It's his shield, Amber.
It's his shield.
It's his arm shield.
Go ahead and cut me on the left one. I mostly use the right one for stabbing, so this one is sort of just superfluous.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I mean, in general, like I do, as I mentioned, I do kind of like the sword work in this movie and the choreography.
I do too. Cool. Yeah.
I mean, the action and the fight scenes are fine.
Yeah.
And just to get to the end scene, we usually talk about that. Everybody dies except for the good guys. And they destroy a skull face necromancy temple or something. But and there's a whole parallel between when he couldn't save his father and trying to save Tamara while she's hanging by a chain about to fall into lava. And she's like, oh, he's summoned his dead wife into me. Just let me go. Save yourself. And he winds up just plunging the dude into lava and saving her. And it's great.
Right. Makes you wonder why they didn't throw that mask into lava in the first place, because that seemed to destroy it right off. But
100% yes. Mm-hmm. I mean...
Throw that shit into Mount Doom. What are you even thinking about?
What are you even thinking about? I guess they're barbarians? I don't know. Yeah. They all seem perfectly intelligent to me.
Yeah.
But that was a bonehead move. But before that, we do have a confrontation with Marique, our Rose McGowan sorceress, she's very creepy. Rose McGowan goes at it. She's got little sharp blades on all the little fingers of one of her hands, and she's killing people and tasting blood and coming on to her father.
Yep. Oh, yep.
Real creepy. But she has a showdown with Tamara. And it's they're going tit for tat, and then Momoa shows up and cuts off her hand, and then Tamara just kicks her off a cliff and grunts out, "Die."
Yep.
And she does.
Yep. Just donkey kicks her off the ledge and into a fucking fence post.
Just front kick, all the core strength, sends her sailing off. It's very good.
Yeah.
Tamara gets the last word when it comes to Marique.
Yes, she does.
They are badass duoing a fair number of the fights in this movie.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you, Tamara.
So, Amber, on the rock scale, what would you rate this movie? Regrettable, outstanding, crazyballs, or K?
I don't know. I mean, it's a K movie, and the Tamara part of it elevates it. Not too outstanding, certainly.
No.
But it's not even really Crazeballs.
Crazeballs is kind of wrong, too.
Yeah, Crazeballs is a wrong feel for that. Oh my gosh, this perfect scale is somehow not encapsulating my feelings for this movie. How is that possible?
I think it's pretty good.
Wow. I found this movie entertaining. I think it's silly. Yeah. It's watchable. It's not super duper memorable outside of, hey, I'm not used to seeing this character. They don't make her whiny. They don't make her sexualized. Other than the fact there is a sex scene, but it's one that she seeks out. She's not seduced. It, She's not taken. He's ready to walk off, and she's like, "Oh, I kind of want to have a fun night."
Yep.
And he's about to go and maybe die. This is probably my last chance. Let's do this.
My time.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on that.
Yeah, I think it's K, but like in that upper bit of K where I think it's totally worth watching.
Yeah,
enjoyable. Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad we did
Excellent.
This.
Yeah, me too.
Megan, do you have a niece's story?
I do. So Maddie really likes to play hide and seek. And it's delightful. Sometimes her hide and seek can just be her hiding in one place and you just sitting and asking her if she's under the table, and she'll like respond from under a cushion, no. And then you ask, like, are you under the chair? No. And then, anyway, but she also likes to do it at the dinner table, which means she turns around, puts her face into the chair, and then pops back out and looks at you. And you know, that's the whole game. But she started to say, when she turns back around, she has started to say, "Peekaboo, ta-da, hi guys."
Peekaboo, ta-da, hi guys. Amazing.
Peekaboo, ta-da, hi guys.
Holy monkeys, that's adorable.
It's delightful. Yep, it's really good.
That's like a gut punch of cuteness.
Amber, do you have a recommendation?
Kinda.
Okay.
Megan, as I sit here thinking about Conan the Barbarian, I cannot help but think about another Conan, a Conan from my childhood. Conan the Adventurer. Man of bravery. He's more powerful than any man. His legend spreads across the land and sea.
Okay.
It was a cartoon from 1992. I was 9 when it came out. It was a Saturday morning jam, and I was so excited for it. I was a fantasy nerd, okay? I like my fantasy. I have nothing for this. I like fantasy.
Yep, sure.
This was a cartoon that had fantasy in it. It was
excellent.
Much more moral than your usual Conan the Barbarian fare. No one actually was murdered or died. They were sending Lizard Man back to some Lizard Man place. So they had swords, but they were made with special moon rocks. And so, if you hit a snake man with them twice, they were just teleported to another realm where they couldn't hurt people anymore.
That's pretty great. That's a pretty good way to get out of it. Yeah.
So and there was a female character, so that he, met some friends along the way and was trying to collect his father's star medal and deal with the snake men who destroyed his village and turned his family to stone. And he meets a phoenix, but it's a baby phoenix and it lives in his shield. And so phoenixes can go into things and then they just become a design on the surface. And it's kind of cool. And
nice.
They were he had multicultural friends who I'm sure were probably racist stereotypes. I haven't watched this in a very, very long time. But one of them was a woman, and she had throwing stars, and she hit them with the throwing stars. They go, they wouldn't bleed, of course. They just,
of course not,
go into the portal away.
Yeah, nice.
It was just, I loved this show growing up. I have it on DVD, but I have not had the courage to watch it because I know the animation and the story are going to be terrible.
Yeah, yep.
But if you remember the show like I do, or if you just want to take a little peek into my 9-year-old baby brain and see what really made me tick, it's on Tubi, apparently, Tubi, to watch for free. Or you could convince me to try and watch my DVDs. Conan! The Adventurer.
The Adventurer.
The cartoon.
Excellent. Amber, I want to take this moment to just mention to folks that this movie is the antithesis of that non-violent moonstone teleporty thing. There are some awful and terrible and horrendous, bloody, gross things that happen in this movie. So if that's not your jam, this movie might not be your thing.
But the cartoon might be.
Yeah,
I think someone's face gets cut off. Their nose definitely gets cut off.
Yeah, oh yeah.
People are just full of gushy CGI blood. You just knock them into anything lightly and they just splatter.
Yeah.
It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Megan, do you have a recommendation?
I do. I'm going to recommend. So last year I went and saw Chicago, the musical. It's my first time seeing it. It was very enjoyable. You may have noticed that some of my last recommendations have been very musical oriented because kind of all of that threw me into a musical spiral. So I watched Tick Tick Boom. I also watched Chicago on what is it? It's on HBO. Chicago the movie is on HBO. Which I rewatched and I highly enjoyed. There are songs that get stuck in your head, and I recommend rewatching it. It was a good rewatch.
Excellent.
Thank you. Although Encanto has totally dominated my mind, and if you think that I'm not thinking about the words to Family Madrigal every 3 or 4 seconds, then you are completely incorrect.
Is that supposed to encourage people to want to watch it? It will give you a terminal earworm.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure that people should anymore. I might be taking back my recommendation because these things don't leave my brain.
Oh dear. Well, for me, it's the lyrics to Conan the Adventurer.
Well, Amber.
Megan. Mm-hmm. Let's just end it here. Have a good weekend this year.
Thank you. I'll just wrap up by saying, he who hunts for an elephant should not stop to throw rocks at birds.
That is absolutely valid. Yeah, I feel like we learned that in this movie.
I know.
That's exactly what happened in this movie. If Zim had just focused on hunting the elephant and not stopped to throw rocks at the birds, i.e. Conan and his father, he never would have incited the vengeful revengeance of a young Sumerian boy who then murdered him and his entire army and undid all of his hard work. He was hunting an elephant and he stopped to throw rocks at birds.
He did. Conan couldn't give a fuck whether or not shit was resurrected or this guy was a god or his, wife came back to life. He cared that this dude really fucked with his whole family and murdered murdered his father. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stay goal oriented. The lesson of Conan the Barbarian and the lesson of that very, very good phrase. Thank you.
You're welcome, Amber. Amber, let's go watch Vox Machina.
Yeah. Goodbye, Megan.
Bye, Embers.